Then, he casually brought up her new house, expecting her to gush about it. Instead, she dismissed the topic, tired of the endless discussions surrounding it. But he wasn't convinced by her simple answer. She hesitated before asking if people in the area were typically distant. The man found her question amusing, but she was serious. She wanted to know how to fit in, how to be accepted by the suburban women around her. His response was blunt, a sarcastic suggestion that fitting in required a certain attitude. She tried not to laugh, but he saw through her attempt. He then mentioned the women who lived next to her, surprising her with the fact that he had seen them before. He admitted to passing by the house before she moved in, noticing the women standing in the yard. The realization that he had observed them before she even arrived made her cheeks burn. Their conversation took an unexpected turn when she brought up a name, someone from the past. She wasn't sure why she said it, but it was out before she could stop herself. His response was brief, his tone suddenly colder. He didn't know much about what had happened, and when she pressed, he accused her of being the kind of person who cared too much. Flustered, she denied it, but the words didn't sound convincing. Her pulse quickened as she realized she might be revealing more about herself than she intended. As their conversation stretched on, she mentioned her upcoming trip to visit her mother. He remembered her from the wedding, recalling the red dress she had worn. Joanna smirked at the memory of how that dress had slipped down after a few drinks. The man caught her expression and questioned it, but she brushed it off. Then, she shared something she hadn't planned to, a medical procedure her mother was undergoing. It wasn't serious, she assured him, but she still felt the need to be there. He questioned why it had to be her, why no one else could go. She avoided answering, knowing she wouldn't be able to explain it to him. Her attention shifted to the items in his shopping basket, and she spotted a box of Sleepytime tea. Amused, she pointed it out, teasing him about it. He tried to hide it, but the attempt only made it funnier. She asked if it helped him sleep, leading to an unexpected reply, only when he thought about her. Heat rose to her face before she realized he was joking. She shook her head, trying to shake off the moment. Then, everything changed. The automatic doors opened, and cold air rushed in. The man's expression darkened as he spotted someone. He recognized a woman in a trench coat, and though she wouldn't know him, he knew exactly who she was. She was the mother of a boy he used to coach in wrestling. He recalled how she never attended the matches, how she would sit outside in her car, too absorbed in her own world to care. Even when her son struggled, she never helped him, barely acknowledged him. The memory of her yelling about muddy shoes still lingered in his mind. Joanna observed the woman from afar, watching as she answered her phone without a care. The man spoke about how he used to tell his wrestlers to visualize their motivations, to use images to fuel their fights. He never asked what they saw, but he had a feeling that if the boy had done it, he would have seen his mother. There was something raw in the way he said it, something that hinted at more beneath the surface. As they sat there, he mused about leaving town, going somewhere far away. He imagined a new life in the open countryside, away from the suffocating weight of the past. He asked if she would miss him, teasingly at first, but something about the question made her pause. She gave a safe answer, but they both knew the truth was more complicated. Then, on impulse, she made a suggestion. He could come with her to visit her mother. He looked at her with genuine surprise, a smile forming at the edges of his lips. The warmth of his expression made her regret saying it almost instantly. She quickly backtracked, dismissing the idea as a joke. But he didn't seem to believe her. Instead, he leaned back, still smiling, and told her that if she ever changed her mind, he'd be happy to go. This passage follows Charles as he navigates his present life while grappling with unresolved emotions from his past. At the grocery store, a woman realizes her shopping cart is missing, only to spot an employee returning her items to their original places. Meanwhile, Charles deals with an unsettling work assignment. His colleague informs him of an upcoming interview with someone from his past, a name that stirs old memories. Charles remains distracted, his thoughts clouded by unease. He recalls how this person disappeared after high school, missing gatherings and reunions. Though rumors suggested she was excelling academically and securing prestigious internships, Charles always felt there was more to the story. He struggles with the idea of facing her again, remembering the last moment they shared and the emotions tied to it. The thought of her looking at him with pity unsettles him, bringing back memories of his own vulnerabilities. He reflects on their past conversations, especially those about his father and brother. In moments of weakness, He had confided in her, only to later regret it. Now, he fears that she remembers those confessions and judges him for them. The weight of his words from years ago still lingers in his mind. The idea of avoiding the interview tempts him, but he knows that would put his job at risk. At home, Charles contemplates discussing the situation with his wife, but he hesitates. Their relationship has an underlying tension that he cannot quite name. He senses her restlessness and suspects she is unhappy in their suburban life. Small moments between them reinforce this feeling. Her distant expressions, her silent disapproval of his choices. He recalls the day they moved into their house, how she seemed reluctant, yet said nothing. Her reactions remind him of his father, who always left him questioning his actions. These doubts follow Charles as he boards a train during a heavy downpour. He buys flowers before heading home, pausing in the driveway to observe the neighborhood. The sight of warmly lit houses and families going about their routines contrasts with the row of unsold homes in the distance. This eerie emptiness mirrors the lingering uncertainties in his life. His thoughts drift back to his childhood, to memories of visiting the prestigious school that bore his great-grandfather's legacy. His mother had once told him that their family played a vital role in its existence, reinforcing his sense of belonging. However, an innocent question about his adopted brother unsettled her, hinting at a deeper, unspoken truth. Years later, his younger brother had asked about a troubling rumor that their great-grandfather had once paid a family to stay away from the school. This revelation had a profound impact on his brother, who had always struggled with his identity. Charles, however, viewed his brother's differences with resentment, feeling overshadowed by him. These complicated emotions still haunt Charles, shaping the way he perceives himself and those around him. Charles stood outside the bathroom door, fists clenched. His frustration with his brother had reached its peak. It always felt like he was the one facing consequences while his brother got away with everything. Anger burned inside him as he imagined walking in and telling his brother that their parents had decided to send him back to his real family. The thought gave him a twisted sense of satisfaction, but before he could act on it, a gentle hand on his shoulder made him turn. His mother stood there, her eyes full of concern. She asked if he needed anything, but Charles hesitated. He wanted to tell her why he defended their family at dinner, but instead, she led him downstairs with the promise of putting cake, an extra slice just for him. The moment passed, but his frustration didn't fade. Later, Charles found himself in the living room, handing Joanna a bouquet of flowers. She looked surprised, almost confused. "What are these for?" she asked. He simply told her he thought she'd like them. She seemed uncertain, as if the gesture didn't quite fit between them anymore. While she placed the flowers in a vase,